I just bought another $10,000 of what I believe is the single most asymmetric bet in the crypto market today. Today, this project is sitting at a tiny $3 million market cap, but it's pioneering a new category of crypto that's aimed at a multi-trillion-dollar market, which is why I not only just invested another $10,000 into this project, but I have another $100,000 on the sidelines that I'm going to be using to buy every single dip. In this video, I'll share my deep thesis on this project. I think it's one of the best ever I've put together, and it's worth listening through all the way to the end. I'm also going to be sharing what this project is up to and their plans for the future, and why I am placing a ridiculous amount of money on the line for this bet and where I see it going into 2026. As some of you guys who have been following me for a long time now know, I have been looking for literally years for a project that would succeed at bringing index funds on chain. Because if somebody can solve this problem, it is literally a multi-trillion-dollar market. The problem up until this point is nobody's been able to do it well. It's been too difficult of a problem to solve because we don't have the infrastructure in crypto to enable this yet. That was until AI agents came along and enabled or unlocked intelligent programmable assets. And just listen to this. There's $12 trillion in US ETFs. There's $20 trillion benchmarked in the S&P 500. And there's $128 trillion in global asset management. That is an insanely massive market. And that's why I've been so desperate to find in pre-position in the project that I thought had the best potential at capturing a slice of that market. And right now, the project that I believe has the most potential to take a slice of that market is Avo with their AI agents. Basically, you can think of Avo as sort of like the AI fund app store, or you could think of it like Shopify for asset management driven by AI. Using AI agents, Avo makes something as complicated as buying all these, different crypto tokens on all these different dexes as simple as clicking a single button. For example, imagine you wanted to go buy like Brian Armstrong's portfolio or Arthur Hayes' portfolio or whatever your favorite influencer's portfolio of crypto tokens. Today, that process is insanely complicated. It's not an easy task to do. Even if you're really experienced in the space, this is going to be like a 30-minute to 45-minute process depending on where all these tokens are. With Avo, that creator or even somebody in their audience who knows what tokens that they're holding in their portfolio could go put together an index of these tokens. And now anyone that wants to buy that entire basket of tokens would, with one click, be able to buy everything using AI agents. But it's obviously not just for creators. Anyone could go and put together their own index of tokens that they think will do really well. Or maybe somebody wants to go put together like thematic indexes of here are some AI crypto tokens, or here are some DeFi crypto tokens, or DePIN crypto tokens, or some DeSci crypto tokens. Anyone could go and productize these thematic indexes and they go market them to get people, who maybe are interested in those things to easily buy into that basket of assets. Again, this is the $128 trillion global asset management market. This is a massive market where people buy into ETF wrappers, they buy into indexes, they buy into various funds. But typically these things are run and managed by humans. There's a lot of bloat, there's a lot of overhead. None of this stuff is digital. This is all like traditional, TradFi kind of stuff. Nobody is prepared for how all of this is going to evolve and change, not only when it goes digital and programmable, which is what crypto enables, but when you have these intelligent programmable assets, which is what AI plus crypto enables. And I know people within the crypto space are already aware of how fast things are quickly moving on chain from the traditional markets. But if you haven't been following along, like even the head of the SEC chair is talking about moving traditional markets on chain. Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, talks about tokenization and how it's the future of traditional markets literally all the time. But even if you don't believe the future is tokenization and like all these traditional markets are going to eventually come on chain and be digitized, it's really not hard to believe that in crypto, with how complicated it is to go and buy all these assets, that eventually crypto index funds won't be a thing. Like, I feel like that is just a no-brainer, just completely obvious statement to say, is that eventually to make things easier, people are going to want to buy into indexes. And these are going to be really hot products because it makes it a lot easier to buy into crypto assets. Like people don't want to go do research on, 100 different individual crypto tokens and they get confused and they get hacked by clicking the wrong links. And they buy the wrong token because it shares the same ticker. Like, it is a really confused, or they buy it on the wrong chain. Like, it's a really, really confusing process. And indexes make it literally infinitely easier to say, place a bet on, the future of crypto AI, or the future of DePIN, or the future of, Solana, or, whatever it is. For example, today, if you wanted to go buy my crypto portfolio, you're going to have to, at minimum, go use 8 different chains. You're going to have to get gas for all of those different chains. You're going to have to know how to bridge between all those different chains, what dexes to use on all those different chains, and specific to each of those tokens, what dexes provide the most liquidity for each of those different tokens. Or imagine there was a link in the description of my video and you could just one click buy my entire portfolio. Between those two options, which one are you going to choose? This is why I'm saying this is so obvious. This is so obvious that crypto index funds are going to be massive. They're going to be a multi-trillion-dollar market over the coming decade. And this is exactly what Avo enables. And where others have tried to do this, I've talked about a lot of projects that have tried to do this but have failed in the past. And the reason they've failed is because of bootstrapping. In order to build an index fund on chain, you have to get enough liquidity to launch that index, which makes it a really slow process. You have to really carefully pick the indexes you choose. And if you launch an index that people aren't into, well, then it sucks for you. Like, you just bootstrapped all this liquidity for nothing because now nobody's going to use that index. The reason Avo succeeds where those projects failed is because Avo uses AI agents to make everything made to order. So meaning when you go buy into an index using Avo, you're not buying into like this giant liquidity pool. Avo is like custom making that index for you on the spot using AI agents. It's going and market buying those tokens on the spot for you to hold that basket of assets versus you buying into this giant liquidity pool. And that way, this is actually much more than like traditional indexes. This is like the evolution of what index funds will eventually become, which is hyper-personalized indexes curated by AI agents who customize this to fit perfectly for you. It's basically like an ETF wrapper, an index, and an asset manager all wrapped up in one. And again, this is a $128 trillion market. That's trillion with a T, not billion. That's $128 trillion market that Avo is going after. And with Avo, in my opinion, what makes this even more insane is the fact that it's not just like restricted to like the 1% elite to be able to launch these funds, indexes, and come up with cool ideas. This is the marketplace where anyone, various devs, normal people like you and me, anyone could come and put together a thesis or a fund or an index that they think is going to perform well and leave it up to the market to see if that, does actually perform well or doesn't. In that way, you can sort of think of like traditional funds as cable television, and Avo is sort of like the YouTube of asset management, where like anyone could come to the table and potentially launch this superstar index because they have a really good idea or they have a really good way of like framing and wrapping this thing. There's a reason that BlackRock and all these issuers race to launch these ETFs, is because they make bank with these ETFs. They make a lot of money off the fees based off these ETFs. And with Avo, when you launch a fund, an index, or all these different things, as the creator, you make that money. You make those fees based on how many people buy into that index. And what this enables for Avo is like built-in virality marketing, right? Like, so just think of creators alone, right? Someone like me, if I have a Avo index in my entire portfolio, and I'm making a lot of money off of that, like, think about how much I'm now incentivized to talk about this Avo index. That's a recipe for this to become like the link tree of like crypto creators or financial creators, right? Like, they're gonna all want to put this in their bio, all want to put this in the description of their video, because they have the potential to make a ridiculous amount of money by doing that. Not only that, but they're actually solving a problem for their audience who, usually wants to buy into those things. But it's not just creators. Like, any average person could come along and be like, I'm going to put together this fund and I'm going to go market it. I'm going to just go on X and talk about it. And, maybe one person, two people, that's not going to make a huge difference. But imagine like 100,000 people doing that, or 10,000 people doing that, 50,000 people doing that. And maybe each of these people are only reaching like 200, 300 people, but that really adds up when you scale out a lot of people competing, similar to on YouTube, to launch these indexes, to launch these funds, etc. And if you look at these agents earlier in the year that went like super viral in the crypto space, right? Like, some of these tokens were at like multi-billion-dollar market caps. And basically all those AI agents did was they posted on Twitter. Like, they would reply guy on Twitter to like different people. And that was basically the extent of the innovation with those AI agents. Avo is sitting at $3 million in market cap. And it's not just like reply guying on X, but these agents actually solve a real problem in the crypto space by making crypto investing easier and by helping people buy this basket of assets so that they don't have to go do all this work, on their own. Avo is going after a $128 trillion market and already has more utility than a good chunk of the tokens in the top 100 crypto projects. And again, despite that, it's sitting at $3 million in market cap. This is why I'm so bullish on Avo. Avo turns funds into software. It turns indexes into software. It turns your thesis on the market into a piece of software that's intelligently managed by AI. And Avo as a platform becomes that AI fund app store. And what's crazy is as AI continues to advance, you got to remember there's literally every major company on the planet and every country on the planet is competing in a like existential race to advance AI. And they're spending tens of billions of dollars on advancing AI. So every advancement in AI just makes Avo better. Like every time AI as a category levels up, Avo as a platform levels up and gets better. Meaning what it can do today is just a teaser of the potential of what will come in the future. As AI continues to advance, AI is going to get a lot better at investing. It's going to get a lot better at managing these things and doing these tasks. Meaning Avo as a platform will get exponentially better by leveraging these AI agents going into the future. Where in the future, I really believe that probably most people will have their money managed by AI agents. Like those will be their financial advisors. And they'll never sleep. Like I said, they'll never take vacations. They'll never take a day off. And they'll be like infinitely better than the best humans on the planet at managing this money. And I believe they will manage tens of trillions of dollars on people's behalf. And not only that, but they'll put together these intelligent products on, for people where it'll be these, like I said, custom personalized indexes or funds or, whatever. So even the people that are like, I don't want to let some stupid AI manage my money, they're probably going to be buying into an AI managed fund or an AI managed index or, one of those things. Traditional human financial advisors oversee around $31 to $32 trillion of capital. So again, massive market that Avo is going after. Now, obviously though, maybe you think that, yes, I agree that's coming, but maybe that's 5 years away or 10 years away. Like what does that do for Avo today? Especially you're talking about financial institutions, like traditional finance coming on chain. I think that's maybe 5-10 years away, or maybe you think it's 20 years away. What does that do for Avo today? Today, Hyperliquid is the single most profitable per employee company on the face of the planet. Not the most profitable in crypto per employee, but the most profitable per employee on the planet, like out of any company in existence. Crypto companies can make an insane amount of money even when only accounting for a tiny sliver of the pie. And that's because traditional markets are very inefficient. Like I said, there is just a ridiculous amount of people that have to be, like tens of thousands of people that have to be involved with each one of these companies. And all of these people in the middle are taking a slice of those profits. And a lot of this is paper pushing. It's paper driven. It's slow. It's inefficient. Crypto, by comparison, is programmable software. It's extremely efficient and requires 99% less people to do essentially the exact same thing. And I believe now that AI is getting adopted and incorporated into these things, it'll require even less people and be even more efficient. As another example, Tether, a crypto stablecoin company, makes more money than BlackRock does. And that just comes from the fact that there's just far less people involved, so far less people to have to pay. And so they're able to turn a higher profit. My point is that Avo doesn't need to wait for, this AI agent revolution or for traditional markets to come on chain. There's already a ridiculous amount of money to be made today in crypto with the pie we already have. And we know over time, this pie is going to continue to expand. It's going to continue to grow. And the use cases for AI agents are going to continue to expand and to grow. Not only that, but Avo, like literally what it does is it enables more people to come on chain. It makes this entire process far easier for people to invest more and more capital into the crypto space. And as these on-ramps into the crypto space and buying these like really tiny crypto tokens get easier and easier, more people are going to do it. More people are going to jump into the market. And again, this will only accelerate as all this investment into AI will only make this process easier and easier, like at a compounding rate. All of this will get better and better and better and better. All right, so what are Avo's plans for the future? Well, we know up until this point, the Avo team has just been shipping at breakneck speed. They keep setting these like dates for when they're gonna get things done, and they accomplish almost everything on time or early. Next up is developer agent fees. So this allows developers to earn fees by listing their agents on the platform, paid in Avo. Fees will be split 50-50 between Avo and the developer after considering all referral and staking deductions. This is scheduled to be done by September 19th. And again, given their track record, very likely to be done by that date. This is part of their incentive structure to get more people to publish like strategies, updates, indexes, etc. on the Avo platform and start that marketing engine that I was talking about a little bit earlier. trader. On top of that, they recently onboarded some new devs to the Avo team. They updated their unified trading engine, and they've done in general a bunch of house cleaning and updating across the board when it comes to the Avo platform. They're working to continue to expand and upgrade the Avo marketplace, as we talked about earlier. They're working on an Avo mobile app. There's a lot of crypto traders that primarily, especially retail, trade on mobile, so they want to make that experience as clean and as easy to use as possible. And then they're working on the big one, cross-chain portfolios. Currently, Avo just operates on Solana, but the long-term goal is that it would operate on Base and Ethereum and Polygon and across all these different chains, so that you could one-click buy a basket of assets across all these various chains. And as I've talked about before, they've put a ridiculous amount of emphasis on just reducing the amount of clicks that are required to get things done in crypto and just making it as seamless and effortless as possible to jump into any of these strategies, indexes, etc. On top of that, I just mentioned that they've been working a lot on their back end and their infrastructure to get it really dialed in. The reason they're doing that is to make it seamless and effortless to launch tons of different indexes. And I believe when that unlock happens, when they have those developer fees, so now people are getting paid to launch these indexes, it's really, really easy to launch these indexes. They can spin up their own, other people can come spin them up. I believe that is going to be the moment where Avo really starts gaining traction and really starts taking off. And then beyond that, I believe as soon as they go multi-chain, so say they incorporate Base or something like that, that is going to be a huge moment. That's probably when I'll launch my own index. Like I'll probably have as much of my portfolio as I can get between Solana and Base as like a link in the description of my video at that point. Like I'm not really motivated to do it yet with just Solana tokens because a lot of my portfolio is spread across different chains. But if they just added one other chain, if they just added Base, that's like, especially for my 10,000 to 1 million portfolio, it's like 80% of the portfolio. It's enough definitely for me to put together an index. And I believe a lot of other creators will be motivated to do the exact same thing. Not only that, but I believe probably a lot of you guys would be like, hey, I'm interested in putting together my index, or I'm interested in putting together my strategy, etc. And today, Avo is sitting at $3.5 million in market cap. But honestly, if it was sitting at $300 million, or if it was sitting at literally $3 billion in market cap, I would still be buying this token and I would still be insanely bullish. Even at 3 billion, again, I would just point to the fact that this is going after a $128 trillion market. So the sky is if they're successful, the sky is the limit. They could obviously fail. This could end up being a dud. It could not work out. Some competitor could spring up that does it 100 times better. That's always the risk investing in any token, any project in the crypto space. And that's happened to me many, many times. So I'm not saying it's like a guaranteed like slam dunk for sure, in the bag thing. What I am saying is it's an asymmetric bet. The risk reward ratio is massive. Like if I invest $1,000, yes, I could lose that $1,000. But if this ends up going from 3 million to $3 billion, that's 1,000x. That would turn my $1,000 into $1 million. So like on one hand, I could lose $1,000, which, unlikely that it would have to literally go to zero. On the other hand, if it went to $3 billion in market cap, I could have $1 million. That's an asymmetric bet. There's, you're capped downside and a ridiculous amount of potential upside. And even at $3 billion, they'd be like, okay, it's sitting at 3 billion, maybe it goes to 30 billion, maybe it goes to, if they're successful with this index thing, why wouldn't it go to 300 billion? Why wouldn't it go into the trillions of dollars of market cap if they really became that onboarding mechanism for these, AI managed funds, AI managed indexes, etc. I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds absolutely bananas. But the Bitcoin guys, when Bitcoin is sitting at 50 cents, they also sent it bananas talking about like, traditional Wall Street's going to be adopting Bitcoin. They're going to hold it on their balance sheet. And, we're going to get Bitcoin ETFs and, the government's going to be adopting Bitcoin. All this crazy stuff they said back then that actually was banana. That was crazy to say when Bitcoin is at $1 or $10 or whatever. That's like absolutely certified crazy. But they were right. And that kind of comes down to the fact that like pessimists often sound really, really smart, but it's the optimists that make all the money. It's the people that believe in these unhinged, crazy outcomes they're not always right. They definitely miss. But look at the market. It's up and to the right. Like if you zoom out long enough, the market's just been going up. It's just been going up. So the bears who have sat on the sidelines and been like, oh my gosh, this is so stupid. This is a Ponzi, whatever. You know what? They've made absolutely zero money. And the bulls who have just been perma bulls, like, hey, this thing's going to go up, rain or shine, have made a fortune. So, I'm not saying I'm right about this. I'm not saying, it's going to $3 billion or anything like that. I'm just saying it's definitely, absolutely, categorically an asymmetrical bet that I'm willing to risk that capital because, yeah, I could lose it. But if I'm right, the upside is insane. And I'm about to give an example that I know triggers some of you guys in the crypto space. I'm about to talk about XRP. And if you're in the crypto space, I know how you feel, but you have to understand that for whatever reason, retail is obsessed with XRP. If I have a conversation with somebody in public, Out of 100 conversations, if I mention crypto, every single one of those retail holders will talk about X. Every freaking single one. I don't understand it. They all think it's small. None of them understand like how massive XRP is today, and they all hold it. And so I like to use XRP as a comparison for retail because it helps them understand how tiny Avo is in comparison. Currently, the market cap for Avo is at $3.54 million. It is 630,000 times smaller than Bitcoin and 146,000 times smaller than ETH. And if Avo were to grow to the size of XRP, that would be a 50,202x gain, making every Avo token worth $178.11. That would mean every $1,000 invested would grow to $50,200,000. And my $10,000 invested would grow to $502 million. I am in no way saying that Avo is going to grow to the size of XRP. It would have to achieve all those things, which that's an insanely high hurdle to do, or would just have to get somehow memed into the hundreds of billions of dollars like XRP did. I'm showing that to illustrate how ridiculously tiny this token is today. It is so small. And with that comes a huge amount of risk. I'm like, straight up, when you're that small, the risk of like just some insane thing happening is astronomical. You could lose all your money. Absolutely. No other way to say it. Like when it's tiny, it's risky. But there's a lot of you guys out there that are in crypto. That's why you're there. There's a lot of people that are in XRP. That's what they think they literally think they're holding Avo. They think they're holding this super risky thing that they could lose all their money, but it could go to the moon. That's what a lot of people like to invest into. That's that asymmetric bet that I'm talking about. And Avo is just ridiculously tiny. My $10,000 that I just invested, if that were to grow to the size of XRP, I'd have $500 million. That's insane. Again, I don't know that it's going to go to that high. That'd be like, that's like, I don't know, 5% odds, 3% odds. That's like so astronomically, like everything would have to go right. But what are the odds that it goes from 3 million to 30 million or 300 million? Like the odds skyrocket at that point, because that's, especially if we have an alt season, if I'm right about an alt season, that's not that crazy. For example, Unagi. I mean, I've been talking about Una since it was tiny, like super tiny. It hit a high of $34 million in market cap and it's still tiny. So like if Una could hit $30 million in market cap and it's tiny today, that's super tiny. Nobody knows about Una. Then yeah, I think it's super reasonable to think that Avo could hit the exact same kind of market cap. I have no idea what the future actually holds for Avo. I am no wizard, as I say all the time. I'm obviously wrong sometimes. I'm never like perfectly right. I could definitely be wrong about this. Like you could always lose money in crypto, but obviously I'm insanely bullish about this token. I have literally another $100,000 sitting on the sidelines ready to buy any Avo dips that come along, because I genuinely believe if alt season comes like I expect it to come, this token could do insanely well. And I want as much exposure as I can get to this token pre-alt season. If you're interested in checking out Avo, I have included a link in the description of this video if you want to go check it out. And if you're curious about seeing my entire portfolio, or you want to see every time I buy and sell various tokens, as well as different weekly video market updates, currently the Obsidian Council is closed to new members, but you can sign up for the waitlist in the description of this video. As always, none of this is investment advice. None of this is me telling you to do anything with your money. I'm obviously not your financial advisor, and you should always do your own research. If this video is helpful, make sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the little bell next to it to be notified each time I release a new video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.